Welcome to Voyage Daily Tech, the most important news personalized for you every day, supported by Voyage.com.
After listening to today's news, you'll know, first, OpenAI's e-commerce push fails as Walmart reports 3 times lower conversion rates, revealing a major setback for the ChatGPT super app strategy. So we'll discuss why this failure matters for the AI super app dream and what it means for the power struggle between big tech and big retail. Second, Kodiak AI's CEO blasts rivals' driverless trucks as props, arguing their fleet as a service model masks a lack of real-world product readiness. We'll analyse why this business model clash is a turning point and how it could affect the competitive dynamics of the autonomous trucking industry. Third, Supermicro stock collapses over 25% amid a China chip smuggling scandal, triggering a massive market share shift to its rival, Dell. We'll explore how this scandal could transform the AI server market, solidifying Dell's advantage due to its strong relationship with chip giant Nvidia. Fourth, Sony reveals its future PlayStation strategy is built on custom AI hardware to generate frames, challenging PC tech by aiming to solve input lag. In this episode, we'll break down this proprietary AI approach and what it signals for the future of console generations and the competition with Xbox. Fifth, Microsoft admits a breakdown of trust over Windows 11, announcing a strategic retreat from forced AI and a plan to fix core performance. Today, we'll take a closer look at this strategic retreat and its implications for the future of the Windows OS and its competition with Apple. Just months after Shopify's president called it the new frontier for online retail, OpenAI is killing its biggest e-commerce feature. The plan was called Instant Checkout. Big names like Walmart, Etsy, and Shopify all lined up to let you buy their products directly inside ChatGPT. But the reality was a bombshell. Walmart found that conversion rates, the percentage of users who actually make a purchase, were 3 times lower for products sold directly in ChatGPT than for those that simply sent users to the retailer's own website. Actually, this move signals a major power struggle. By failing to get users to buy inside its app, OpenAI is essentially admitting that established retailers like Walmart still control the most valuable parts of shopping, the final transaction and the customer relationship itself. It shows that even a powerful super app like ChatGPT can't just replace the entire e-commerce journey. This wasn't a quiet pivot. A top Walmart AI executive went on the record calling instant checkout a very temporary moment in time. He then delivered the final blow, stating, by this time next month, you will not see that experience anymore. So now, OpenAI and its partners are back to the drawing board, shifting to a model where ChatGPT just sends you to the retailer's website to buy. But that's not the whole picture. An analyst at Gartner said it plainly, OpenAI underestimated how difficult the enablement of transactions was going to be. The difficulty here is more than just a simple technical glitch. To make instant checkout work, an AI needs to reliably handle real-time inventory, dynamic pricing that can change by the second, and incredibly complex shipping calculations from millions of different merchants. Many of these retailers run on older legacy systems that don't have modern ways for an AI to plug in. This leads to data errors, like selling an item that's already out of stock, which destroys the customer experience. While OpenAI tries to figure out its strategy, competitors like Google are already releasing updates to their own shopping platforms. This is where Google's strategy comes into play, taking a slower, more incremental approach. It's leveraging its existing shopping graph and its decades-long relationships with merchants to build a more stable system. They've even created something called the Universal Commerce Protocol, which acts as a standardized language for AIs to talk to retailers, making the whole process much smoother. And then there's the elephant in the room. Amazon, the e-commerce giant, has walled itself off, blocking AI, shopping agents, and even suing startups like Perplexity to prevent them from scraping its site. This isn't just a legal threat. Amazon's lawsuit specifically accuses Perplexity of disguising its AI bots as human users to get around its defenses. This is all part of Amazon's strategy to create a walled garden where only its own AI assistant Rufus gets to play, which is already raising questions about antitrust behavior. Perplexity fired back in court, calling Amazon's lawsuit a bold attempt to block shoppers because AI agents don't have eyeballs to see the pervasive advertising Amazon bombards its users with. The great AI shopping war was supposed to be the next big thing, but early data shows that while people use AI for research, only 22% have ever completed a purchase inside an AI tool. It all points to a massive consumer trust gap. Research shows people are hesitant to hand over their payment data to an AI. In fact, one YouGov survey found that 48% of Americans explicitly do not trust AI with financial services. Shoppers like using AI to discover products, but they still want the control and familiarity of a traditional checkout. A Forrester analyst summed up the current chaos. Everyone thinks everyone else has this figured out. The fact is that no one has this figured out. Speaking of the clash between ambitious AI promises and harsh business realities, the world of autonomous trucking is having a very public argument of its own. The CEO of a self-driving truck company just went on the record about his main competitors, and he didn't hold back. He says their self-driving trucks are basically props. In a direct shot at his rivals, Kodiak AI CEO Don Burnett said those are their own trucks. So if they only work one day of the week, or they only work for like 5 hours of one day, nobody cares. They're still driverless and they still get to claim victory. But that would never work with a customer. Like, that's not a real product. What's fascinating is that this reveals a huge split in the industry. Most of Kodiak's rivals like Waymo and Aurora are using what's called a fleet as a services model. They own the trucks and you just hire them to move your stuff. Kodiak, on the other hand, sells its autonomous system to be installed on trucks that the customer actually owns. It's a fundamental difference in who holds the risk and who demands the results. This all comes down to a massive difference in strategy. The 20 driverless trucks Kodiak currently has in operation are owned and operated by its customers, not by Kodiak. And according to Burnett, that changes everything. The key difference is when a customer owns the truck, they aren't impressed by flashy videos or how many miles the truck has driven without a driver. They care about cold, hard business metrics. We're talking about things like asset utilization rate. How much of the day is this multi-$100,000 truck actually working and making money? A human-driven truck might run for 8 to 12 hours. An autonomous truck can run closer to 24 hours a day. That's the metric that matters to a real business, not just a successful demo. His argument is simple. When a customer owns the vehicle, it has to work. He claims this forces a much higher bar for reliability. Customers expect the truck to work all the time, not just in stage-managed demos. Burnett believes his competitors are focused on the wrong thing. He says they produce great videos and have snazzy visuals, but are ignoring the real challenge. He calls making a truck drive itself table stakes. Now get this, to get past table stakes, Kodiak is taking a wild approach. Instead of just training on perfect, well-marked highways, they are intentionally training their AI in chaos. They've partnered with the US military to make their system work on off-road vehicles in contested terrain, and they're running their first commercial driverless routes in the Permian Basin oil fields, a place with no lane markings, tons of dust, and unpredictable paths. The thinking is, if you can teach an AI to drive in that mess, a clean highway is easy. It's a strategy they call unstructured first. The real battle, he says, is about making the technology actually usable in a real-world business. This means integrating driverless trucks into customer operations, handling pickups and drop-offs, and providing monitoring tools. This is the part of the problem he claims nobody talks about. When asked if his company would expand into robotaxis like competitor Waabi, his response was blunt. Did Waabi have a product before they existed? Kodiak is betting its future on the idea that the winner in autonomous trucking won't be the one with the best tech demo, but the one who delivers a fully integrated, reliable product that a customer can actually own and operate. Kodiak is betting that reliability is the key to winning the market. Well, our next story is a brutal lesson in what happens when that trust evaporates. A company at the heart of the AI boom just saw its stock collapse by over 25%, and it's all tied to a shocking investigation involving smuggling high-tech chips to China. Shares of Supermicrocomputer are heading for their worst one-day drop in years after its co-founder, Yishan Wally Liao, a manager and a contractor, were charged by the US Attorney's Office. The allegation: smuggling AI servers equipped with restricted Nvidia chips into China. While Supermicro itself was not named as a defendant, the fallout has been immediate and brutal. What's unfolding here isn't just about one company. It's a window into the high-stakes cat-and-mouse game of the US-China tech war. The US has strict export controls to prevent advanced AI chips from reaching China for national security reasons. But these networks are sophisticated. In this case, The allegation is that at least $2.5 billion worth of servers were illegally diverted to China by routing them through an intermediary country in Southeast Asia using falsified documents to cover their tracks. This is significant because it shows just how determined bad actors are to get these chips and how difficult it is to enforce these bans. This is where the situation takes a more complex turn. As one company's fortune craters, its biggest rival is reaping the rewards. While Supermicro was in freefall, shares of Dell Technologies jumped 4.5%. The market is clearly rewarding the camp most aligned with Nvidia right now. This isn't a coincidence. To understand why, you need to know that these two companies have completely different philosophies. Supermicro is famous for its highly customizable building block approach. Think of it like building a custom PC, but for a massive data center. Dell, on the other hand, offers an integrated enterprise-focused strategy. Wall Street is betting on a massive power shift. As the Wells Fargo trading desk put it bluntly, what is bad for SMCI is good for Dell, just in terms of market share shifts. What really brought this to a head was that this smuggling case is just the latest dark cloud for Supermicro, following recent management turnover and an accounting debacle. It all comes down to something called the enterprise trust premium. When governments or massive corporations are spending billions on AI infrastructure, they aren't just buying performance, they're buying trust. They need to know the supply chain is secure and that the company they're dealing with has its house in order. With Supermicro's own auditor resigning over concerns about its financial transparency, big customers see a major red flag. Analysts see this as a perfect storm that creates an opening for its main competitor. One analyst at Wedbush said if Supermicro's operations are disrupted, Dell would be the most immediate beneficiary for customers looking for an alternative. This all begs the question, what's the real endgame here? According to Milius Research, this could be Dell's biggest windfall yet, helping the company disproportionately in the race to sell AI solutions. The final verdict from the street is clear. Before this headline, Dell was seen as having the best relationship with chip giant Nvidia. In the high-stakes battle for AI server dominance, that relationship is now poised to get even stronger. So the thing is, a good relationship with Nvidia isn't just a friendly handshake. It's the ultimate advantage in the AI gold rush. It means things like priority access to the scarcest, most powerful GPUs when there's a global shortage. It means co-engineering support, where Nvidia's experts work directly with Dell to optimize their servers for AI. And it can even mean better pricing. In a world where one chip can make or break an entire AI strategy, being Nvidia's preferred partner is like holding the keys to the kingdom. We were just talking about the power of having a tight relationship with a chip giant like Nvidia, but in the gaming world, Sony is taking a different path, revealing a future for PlayStation built on its own custom AI hardware to generate what some critics call fake frames. Now, this term fake frames gets thrown around because the console isn't just rendering what's there, it's using AI to create images that didn't exist a millisecond before. This is a huge deal because some developers are already relying on this kind of tech, sometimes shipping games with lower native frame rates and using AI to boost the numbers. A recent survey even showed 87% of game developers are already using AI in their workflows. Mark Cerny, the lead architect behind the PlayStation 5, has confirmed that upcoming consoles will use machine learning to literally imagine and create new frames on your screen. The goal is to deliver incredibly smooth image quality, but there's a catch. This process typically introduces input lag, a delay between your button press and the action. In fast-paced games like competitive shooters, this is critical. Even a tiny delay can be the difference between winning and losing. Some PC technologies have been shown to increase this lag. But here's what Sony is banking on. By building their own custom solution from the ground up, they believe they can solve this problem. Their system, reportedly called PlayStation Spectral Super Resolution, is integrated at the deepest level of the hardware. The goal is to get all the benefits of AI-generated frames with almost none of the latency drawbacks, and early reports suggest they've gotten the lag down to an almost imperceptible 1.2 milliseconds. But the real bombshell isn't just the technology, it's the timing. The announcement leaves a massive question mark hanging over the entire industry. Will this AI-powered upgrade come to the rumoured PS5 Pro, or will gamers be forced to wait for a PlayStation 6? This whole debate, believe it or not, might signal the end of console generations as we know them. The massive, expensive leaps in raw hardware power might be slowing down. Instead, The future could be more about these kinds of AI-powered software tricks that squeeze more and more performance out of existing machines, leading to more incremental, less revolutionary upgrades. And that wait could be a long one. Cerny has already suggested the PS6 wouldn't arrive before 2027 at the earliest, and reports of memory shortages could push it back even further. When pressed for details, Cerny's only comment was, "All I can say is that we have no more releases planned for this year." If you zoom out, you'll see this isn't just a software patch. Sony is co-designing a custom AI accelerator, a dedicated piece of hardware right into the console's main processor. This is a fundamentally different approach compared to the general purpose AI hardware you see in most PCs. Instead of using a jack-of-all-trades tool, Sony is building a highly specialized, ruthlessly efficient scalpel designed for one purpose and one purpose only, making your games look and run better. It's a fundamental shift in how the console creates its visuals, moving from pure rendering to AI-assisted imagination. The situation presents a fascinating duality. On one side, you have Sony's walled garden approach, building their own proprietary tech, PSSR, that they control completely for what they hope is a big performance edge. On the other, you have Microsoft's Xbox, which is embracing more open industry standards like AMD's FSR and their own DirectSR. This gives developers more flexibility, but it puts the burden on them to make it work. The question for the entire industry is which strategy will win in the long run. But with the lead architect keeping the timeline under tight lock and key, the company has confirmed its ambitious destination without revealing when or even how gamers will get there. Speaking of Microsoft strategy, while they're battling Sony in the console space, they're fighting a completely different war on their home turf, a battle to win back the trust of their own Windows users. Microsoft has officially admitted it has a problem, a breakdown of trust with its users over Windows 11, following a major backlash against forced AI additions and an increasingly frustrating user experience. The company is now in damage control. The head of Windows, Pavan Davaluri, just laid out a massive plan to fix the operating system, and the changes are significant. The company is starting with immediate improvements that users have been demanding for years. First, the taskbar will finally be movable to the top or sides of the screen. Microsoft is also pulling back on unnecessary Copilot AI integration in core apps and promising less disruptive updates with fewer automatic restarts. This AI pullback isn't just a minor tweak, it's a strategic retreat. The initial plan was to weave Copilot AI deep into the very fabric of Windows, the settings, the notifications, even File Explorer, but users pushed back hard, complaining about AI bloatware that slowed down their systems and raised privacy flags. This is important because it shows that user feedback actually can cause a massive corporation to rethink its entire strategy. And it's not just about AI. The company is also tackling core performance issues head on, promising to reduce Windows' own resource usage to make apps launch faster. A major focus is memory efficiency, aiming to lower the baseline memory footprint. This is a direct response to the so-called RAM crisis and a clear reaction to competitors like Apple, whose MacBooks have shown what's possible on just 8 gigabytes of RAM. Microsoft is now under pressure to deliver a similar experience. The context for this is crucial. The reason an 8 gigabyte MacBook often feels faster than an 8 gigabyte Windows laptop is because of something called unified memory. Think of it like a kitchen where the chef and the baker can both grab ingredients from the same central pantry. It's incredibly efficient. On most Windows PCs, the main processor and the graphics processor have their own separate pantries, and they have to pass ingredients back and forth, which is slower. Microsoft is now trying to make its software so efficient that it can overcome this hardware difference. It's a huge technical challenge, but if they pull it off, it could make mid-range Windows laptops much more competitive. The fixes don't stop there. File Explorer is getting an overhaul for faster and more reliable file transfers. The Start menu is being re-engineered for better responsiveness. Even Windows Hello is getting an upgrade for more dependable facial and fingerprint sign-in. Interestingly enough, a big reason for these responsiveness issues is that for years, Windows has been a patchwork of different design languages and code from different eras. It's like a house built with some modern parts, some parts from the 90s and some parts from the 2000s. Microsoft is now trying to rebuild these core apps like File Explorer and the Start menu on a modern unified foundation called WinUI 3. This is their big bet to finally cure that inconsistency and make the whole system feel cohesive and fast. This all comes from the top with the Windows chief promising to be more thoughtful about how and where we bring AI into Windows so that new features enhance the experience rather than complicate it. But while Microsoft talks a big game about rebuilding trust, there's a huge elephant in the room they're not addressing: their aggressive, almost malware-like tactics to push the Edge browser and Bing search engine, the pop-ups, the resets of your default browser after an update. The European Union's Digital Markets Act actually forced companies to offer a browser choice screen, and rivals saw a huge spike in downloads. Microsoft's silence on this issue suggests the revenue and data from Edge and Bing might be too valuable to sacrifice, even in the name of trust. In a direct message to users, Davuluri stated, "Thank you for holding us to a high standard. Windows is as much yours as it is ours."
That's it for today on Voyage Daily Tech. Follow, share, and stay tuned for daily updates coming your way tomorrow.